this. Game 4 of the 1996 Stanley Cup Finals, triple overtime. The whole season comes down to this moment, and one goalie stands between victory and defeat. That was Patrick Roy's world, and he didn't just live in it, he owned it. With the Florida Panthers desperate to stay alive, Roy would go on to pitch a shutout in one of the longest championship games ever played. But was he really the greatest to ever guard the net? Or is that just what the history books want us to believe? Today, we're diving into the truth about the man they called St. Patrick. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and smash that like if you want to see more content about hockey's greatest legends. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Ever wonder what creates a legend? For Patrick Roy, it all started in Quebec City, where hockey isn't just a sport, it's religion. Born in St. Foy, young Patrick was breathing hockey before he could even walk. His dad, Michel, covered the sport as a writer, watching countless goalies, and probably never imagining his son would outshine them all. His mom, Barbara, she was the real MVP, believing in his dream even when others thought he was crazy. Here's the thing about Roy that'll blow your mind. He didn't choose to be a goalie because he loved stopping pucks. Nah, this guy just thought the equipment looked cool. But that surface level attraction turned into an obsession.
I ain't gonna lie, that the mask definitely looked cool. Made me want to play goalie.
While other kids were dreaming of scoring goals, Roy was already planning how to stop them. He turned his backyard into his laboratory, developing what would later become the most copied goaltending style in NHL history. The signs were there early. I'm talking about a teenager so confident, so skilled, that he once shut down an entire team of old...
That's young Roy? I don't know why I keep saying Roy. I'm gonna keep saying Roy, but it's by mistake. But, damn, that's him when he was young. Don't he look like the same person?
Players by himself. We're not talking about a few good saves. This kid was making veteran coaches drop their jaws. People weren't just whispering anymore. They were straight up shouting, "This isn't just another good goalie. This is something we've never seen before." But here's where it gets really interesting. Patrick Roy wasn't born with a silver stick in his hand. Damn. Everything he achieved, every record he broke, every game he stole, it all came from an almost psychotic dedication to being the best. And trust me, the story of how he got there, that's where things really get wild. But talent alone doesn't make you an NHL superstar, and Roy's path to the big leagues wasn't exactly a smooth ride. Playing for the Granby Bisons in junior hockey, Roy turned heads with his unorthodox style and fierce competitiveness. In the 1984 NHL draft, the Montreal Canadiens selected him 51st overall. Pretty late for a guy who'd change hockey forever, right? Roy's NHL debut? Well, that came on February 23rd, 1985. When he got called up for a game against the Winnipeg Jets. But his real breakthrough happened during the 1985-86 season. At just 20 years old, Roy didn't just win the starting job, he absolutely owned it. That season, he posted 23 wins and a solid .875 save percentage, which might not sound amazing today. But remember, this was the high-scoring 80s, folks. Here's where things get wild. In the 1986 playoffs, Roy didn't just play well, he became St. Patrick. He led the Canadiens to a Stanley Cup victory, becoming the youngest Conn Smythe Trophy winner in NHL history.
At what, 21 years old? 20 years old? Okay, now here's the goalie with all the hardware. Dominic, my favorite goalie, he got the moves. I like his style. But he ain't had that much hardware like that. You know?
At 20 years and 181 days. Let that sink in. A rookie goalie carrying an underdog Canadiens team, the hockey's ultimate prize. During those playoffs, Roy put up an incredible 1.92 goals against average, winning 15 games and shocking the hockey world. The next few seasons proved this wasn't just beginner's luck. Roy consistently put up stellar numbers, regularly facing over 30 shots a night and keeping the Canadiens competitive. In 1988-89, he won his first William M. Jennings Trophy for allowing the fewest goals in the league and made the NHL first All-Star team, the first of many times he'd received these honors. By the end of the 1980s, Roy wasn't just Montreal's starting goalie. He was becoming the new standard for what a modern NHL goaltender could be. His butterfly style, which we take for granted today, was revolutionary back then. While other goalies were still standing up, Roy was showing that getting down on the ice could actually be more effective.
Oh, so he started that. He started that, like, drop and flatten out with your legs like a butterfly. He started that? Or did he get it from somebody else that actually started? Somebody let me know in the comments, bro. That's hard, though.
Now let's talk about when Roy went from great to legendary. The 1990s weren't just Roy's prime years. They were when he completely rewrote the goaltending playbook. The 1992-93 season, pure magic. Roy led the Canadiens to another Stanley Cup, but it's how he did it that's mind-blowing. During that playoff run, he won an incredible 10 games in overtime. Think about the pressure of overtime playoff hockey.
What?
Then imagine doing that 10 times in one run. Insane. And check this out. During that same cup run, Waugh pulled off what might be the greatest wink in hockey history. In the finals against the LA Kings, after making a huge save, he winked at Thomas Sandstrom. That wasn't just confidence, that was pure intimidation. The Canadiens won that series in 5 games, and Waugh grabbed his second Conn Smythe trophy. But everything changed on December 2nd, 1995. After getting lit up for 9 goals against Detroit,
Oh yeah, his
Waugh was
coach
left
was
in
on
net
that
to face the
bullshit.
embarrassment.
Yeah, I
When he
watched
finally
that
got
game.
pulled, he walked straight to team
I
president
actually
Ronald
reacted-
Corey
I
and
actually
said he'd
reacted
never
to
play
this.
for Montreal.
I just reacted to this. Y'all want to see that video? Go watch that. It's in the playlist, hockey playlist. What?
Again.
seen that. That was
4 days
insane.
later, he was traded to the Colorado Avalanche.
Crazy
Some
how you do
people
your
thought
goalie
Waugh's
like
best
that, bro.
days were behind him. Boy, were they wrong. In his first season with Colorado, Waugh proved all the doubters wrong.
In his
He helped
first
lead
season?
the Avalanche to their first Stanley Cup.
He won a Stanley Cup in their first season. If I'm Canadian, I'd have been mad. If I'm the fans, I'd have ride it. Nigga, what? Bro. Did y'all keep that coach after that? That coach had to
Posting
get
a
fired.
ridiculous
soon.
.921 save percentage in the playoffs. Even more impressive, he shut out the Florida Panthers in triple overtime of Game 4 to clinch the cup. That's the kind of clutch performances that made Roy special. The bigger the moment, the better he played. The 2000 to 2001 season might have been Waugh's masterpiece. At 35 years old, when most goalies start slowing down, he put up some of his best numbers ever. We're talking 40 wins, a .913 save percentage, and getting his hands on both the Jennings Trophy and his 4th Stanley Cup. Oh, and he became the
He got
first
4
goalie
Stanley
ever to win the
Cups?
Conn Smythe Trophy in 3 different decades. Let's put his peak years in perspective with some numbers that'll blow your mind. Between 1986 and 2003, Waugh won 551 games in the regular season and 151 in the playoffs. He made the All-Star team 11 times, won 3 Vezina trophies as the league's best goalie, and 5 Jennings trophies for the fewest goals against. But here's the crazy part.
I ain't gonna lie. I love Dominic to death. I love Dominic. I love him. But I can't definitively say he to go over Waugh. I don't know if I can do it. Because, bruv, that hard work speaks for itself. I ain't gonna lie.
He went to the playoffs 17 straight seasons. That's not just consistency, that's
But
dominance.
that's because he had a good
what made
team,
Waugh
though.
different during these years wasn't just the saves. It was how he changed the position forever. His butterfly style became the template for modern goaltending. Every kid in net today is basically playing Waugh's game.
That's
he showed
hard.
that being technically sound was just as important as being athletic, and his mental toughness set a new standard for what it means to be clutch. Now, even legends have to slow down eventually, but Waugh's decline was different for most. His final few seasons with Colorado were still pretty impressive, especially when you consider he was pushing 37. During the 2002 to 2003
just like he
season,
was good.
his last dance in the NHL, he still managed to put up 35 wins and a solid .914 save percentage. Most goalies would kill for those numbers in their prime, let alone their farewell tour. But here's the thing about Waugh. He wasn't interested in hanging around just to pad his stats. In 2003, after a tough playoff loss to the Minnesota Wild in Game 7, he took some time to think about his future. Instead of dragging it out or waiting until he couldn't compete anymore, he announced his retirement on May 28, 2003. That's classic Roy, leaving on his own terms. Looking at his final few seasons, you could see small signs that Father Time was catching up. His reaction time wasn't quite as lightning quick, and those spectacular splits weren't coming as easily. But what's incredible is how Waugh adapted. When he couldn't rely purely on athleticism anymore, he leaned more on his positioning and experience. The old dog had plenty of tricks left. Let's put his decline in perspective. In his final 3 seasons, he still won 105 games and maintained a save percentage above .910. Most goalies would call that a career peak, but for Waugh, anything less than excellence wasn't good enough. He set such a high standard throughout his career that even his great final seasons seemed like a step down from his supernatural prime. The Colorado Avalanche retired his famous 33 jersey right after his retirement, and the Montreal Canadiens followed suit in 2008. When you have 2 different teams retire your number, you know you've done something special.
That's
and
hard.
honestly, both
2
cities
different
can
teams?
rightfully claim him as their own. He was that important to both franchises. So how do we measure Patrick Waugh's impact on hockey? Well, the numbers tell part of the story. 551 wins, which was the all-time record when he retired, 4 Stanley Cups, 3 Conn Smythe trophies, and 3 Vezina trophies. But
Bro.
Waugh's legacy goes way beyond the stats. Think about this. Every time you see a goalie drop into the butterfly position today, that's Wah's influence right there. Before him, goalies were mostly stand-up style players. Wah didn't just use the butterfly technique, he perfected it and proved it was the future of goaltending. Watch any NHL game today, and you'll see his fingerprints all over how modern goalies play. Guys like Marc-Andre Fleury and Carey Price, they grew up studying Wah's technique. When we compare him to other goalie legends, what sets Wah apart isn't just his achievements, it's his attitude. Martin Brodeur might have broken his records and Dominik Hasek might have had better save percentages, but nobody, and I mean nobody, had Wah's combination of skill, innovation, and clutch performance.
And hardware. The hardware matters. Because I feel like Dominik was good at innovating too. People just can't do what he do. I mean, he can innovate, but people can't copy it. And his skill was like that. He just wasn't clutch like Patrick, and he ain't got the hardware. But that's tough. But that's tough.
Performance. This guy lived for big moments. The more pressure there was, the better he played. But maybe his biggest legacy is how he changed what people expect from goalies. Before Wah, goalies were seen as these quiet, kind of quirky guys who just stopped pucks. Wah showed that a goalie could be a team's backbone, its confidence, its swagger. He wasn't afraid to speak his mind or show emotion on the ice. He treated goaltending like an art form, and in doing so, he made it cool to be a goalie. Today, Roy's influence continues through his coaching and mentoring. The lessons he taught about positioning, reading plays, and mental toughness are still being passed down to new generations of goalies. When people talk about the greatest of all time, Roy's name isn't just in the conversation. It's usually at the top of the list. The crazy thing is, even with all the advances in goalie training and equipment, no one has quite matched his level of dominance in the biggest moments. But that's all I've got for you today, and family. After breaking down Patrick Wah's incredible career, I've got a question for you. Who do you think was the more dominant goalie in their prime? Wah or Dominik Hasek?
I ain't gonna lie to y'all, bro. Personally, I'm gonna choose Dominik because I like his style. But if they're gonna put a gun on my head, like, bro, you gotta get it right, like, based on the stats and everything, I'm probably gonna say Wah because, bro, you can't, bro. He got 4 or 5 Stanleys, 3 to 4 best goalies in the league. Visnikov, I forgot how you say it. Like, it's tough. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, though, man. I already know a lot of y'all been saying these 3, but let me know a list. I don't want to see the names, no order. I want to see the list in order. But I'm going to see y'all next, man. Y'all already know what's going on, man. No cap. Who the fuck calling me?